The past 2 weeks, we looked at creating a place for change. We looked at change begins at the changing your perspective. Your perspective has to shift. We looked at joy, creating a place for joy. You can go past that. Creating a place for joy. Joy is influenced by your perspective of how things are changing. I'm stepping into a new job. Am I going to find joy? I'm stepping into a new season. Am I going to find joy? I woke up determined this morning to live in joy. Josiah, I woke up this morning determined to not throw a 9-month-old fit because I don't get what I woke up this morning determined to find joy. For those of you who don't know, joy is really hard for Pastor Guillermo. Joy, Annette, does not come easy. When I'm driving down 290, I lose my joy when I see traffic building up. All of this time, all of this money, all of this effort for more traffic? No. You see, I understand how hard it is to not... Just ask Aubrey. Ask Aubrey about this past week. It is challenging. But I know that I want to create a place for joy. You know that I want to create a place for joy. Cat's out of the bag. The devil knows that I want to create a place for joy. So no wonder when I wake up joyful, no wonder why in the next 5 minutes of my morning, all hell is breaking loose because the devil is looking to steal my joy. I woke up this morning wanting to be joy-ermo, not jerk-ermo. I woke up this morning finding the value in peace-ermo over problem-ermo. On one of our tests, Evelyn, for Bible class, they had to, for extra credit, spell my name. I got all sorts of different spellings. Creating a place for gifts will be determined by your perspective of what holds the most value. Just think about this for a second. As we're, I'm gonna need. Do you have a child in your hand? Okay, come up here.
No.
You.
Me?
Whoever doesn't have a child. Oh. Somebody who doesn't have a child in their hands. Okay.
Yet. No. Not anything.
Woo, not it. All right.
Just wait, I'll steal a baby.
I want you just to give me gifts. You can choose. These are all for me. Happy birthday to me, by the way. Choose whichever gifts you want to give me, and you're going to have to give me gifts throughout the entire message. Okay. Whenever you're ready. Okay. So, oh, hi.
Still going. 10 more seconds.
I need an adult. I need an adult. Thank you so much for this hug. I appreciate it. All right. Thank you so much for that gift. You can take a seat. Moses, I knew I should have chosen you. Moses, come up here. Woo! Nobody else hugged me or touched me today. That was that filled my physical love tank. I'm done. Moses, you stay on your side, I'll stay on mine. Choose any gift. Throughout my message, I just want you to give me some gifts. The kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field. Thank you. Hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy, sold all that he had and bought the field. Here's what I want to talk today. If you don't create a place for joy, then when gifts come, you won't recognize the joy. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again because he realized the joy that went with it. I got room. Creating a place for gifts requires you to sacrifice something that holds less value than what's already in your hand. I haven't even started preaching yet. What's that? No. It's not your job to justify what's going to fall, friend. You just pack it on me. That's my job. My job to carry the weight. You see, Hebrews chapter 12 talks about the weight, not the sin, but the weight. See, I'm so excited in my American culture to get gifts. And so in my pursuit to find joy, I was joyful with the first one. I mean, not too much with the hug. But now every week, I'm stressing out. You see, the first child I had, I considered it pure joy. The second one I had, I considered it joy. Then Moses came, and the gifts came, and what I had once looked at as joyful, I now look at as bondage. What I used to look at as a gift, I now see, well, this causes me stress. Well, this causes me anxiety. Well, see, I don't, in order, see, that one, turn down to the side. Show them that one. That one is where joy is. Come on. But in order for me to have the joy, I'm holding on to my social media presence. I'm holding on to my occupation. I haven't started preaching it, but to be honest, I'm holding on to what I value. I'm holding on to my masculinity rather than giving up who I am to be the spouse that she needs. I'm holding on to my YouTube channel. I'm holding on to my agenda. You see, there's a gift there that Guillermo talked about last week. I lived my entire week already. I came back to church ready to receive, but I came with too much. And it requires me, if I'm going to pick up a gift of the Spirit, it requires me to sacrifice something that I value to grab a hold of what He has for me. Did y'all come to church this morning to receive something? Because I know many of you came for tamales and many of you came for gifts. But what I'm talking about is the gift that the Spirit brings. You see, I woke up this morning and I was probably a jerk to a child. I don't know. I got 7. Ask one of them. I'm sure I said something wrong to one of them. I'm sure I didn't give the right amount of length of a hug. I probably gave a 2-second hug and they were looking for a 20-minute hug. You see, what I value, I have to give up. Hey friend, you just gonna stand there and watch me? Thank you so much. Help me unload here. Some of you are watching these gifts and you're probably like, that's glass, don't break that. I came this morning, well, I never left. But I want to share with you a word today. And I looked at all these gifts and I immediately said, I want to make sure that what you came with, you don't leave with. I want to make sure that the frustration that you might have had this morning, the rebellious heart that you might have had, the lustful passion that you might have had, the thoughts that are keeping you up at night, I want to make sure that when you come this morning, you're not just sitting in the back, but you're right face to face with Jesus, ready to give up what you're holding on to receive the gift that He has for you. Today, I want to talk about creating a place for gifts, not because our American culture says, give me more, but because the Spirit of God wants to give you and pour out. But it requires, thank you so much, Moses. It requires you to give and to sacrifice what you hold dear. Yeah. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again. And then in his joy, went and sold all he had. If you don't create a place for joy, then when the gifts come to the surface, your perspective will be so crowded out. It'll be crowded by negativity that you will never experience the fullness of what the Lord has for you. The gift of the treasure, it's a hidden treasure, which means it's not at the surface, which means that when you're going Black Friday, you have to dig. See, I'm looking for a deal. I'm looking for an Apple. I'm looking for an Apple device. I'm looking. We used to go Black Friday shopping. Some of you might remember this. When you would go to the store before people would trample and kill everybody, we would go and we would send, cat out of the back, Ceci. We would send our younger nephews and nieces and cousins to go through the big crowds because nobody's going to be mean to a little child. So we would send in the Isabellas and the Amayas. They would grab the gift and bring it back to us. See, we were smart. We recognized that the treasure was hidden. It was buried deep. Most of us, when we're shopping for avocados, you see, I'm not just choosing one. I'm looking for the best ones. I'm looking for the best cantaloupe. I'm sniffing. I'm pulling pineapple leaves. I'm messing up. I'm going against every COVID rules, and I'm just touching everything, snotting. I'm all up in this because I know the best is buried deep. But when it comes to the calling on your life, do you dig deep into your life?
That's so good.
You see, the treasure holds more value than what was previously possessed. The treasure allowed this guy, he saw the treasure, he digs it down, then he sells so that he can buy the entire field. See, what he had before, he gave up for the purpose of what he now had more value in. He gave all he had to obtain the whole field. This is God's love for us. This is a reflection of God's love for us. Looking at your lust, listening to your thoughts, feeling all of your anger, saved all of you to bring to the surface the treasure that's inside of you. Not to save you so that you can continue to do whatever you wanted to do. To bring the gift of salvation so that a digging process can happen. So that what is buried deep inside your life, the hidden treasure, can be brought to the surface. We see a very similar principle found in Matthew chapter 19. Understand the treasure requires a sacrifice. And in Matthew chapter 19, we see a rich young ruler who comes face to face with Jesus, and he has this conversation. And Jesus tells him, listen, if you want to do everything that's right, if you want to receive and enter into the kingdom of heaven, then you are going to have to sell all of your possessions. And you're going to have to give what you earn back to the poor. The rich young ruler is like, well, I don't know if I could do that. You see, I've done all the commandments. I've done all the religious duty. I love the song where it says that we're laying down our religious. See, we don't want to just do basic tradition. We are wanting something fresh, something new in the spirit that we haven't maybe experienced before. And so this rich young ruler comes to a position. He comes to a fork in the road that many of us are going to come into the same position, whether if it's one time or multiple times. The older you get, the more forks you recognize you have to go through. You see, you thought maybe the biggest fork was you having to choose between a life with Christ or a life away from Christ. But as you continue to grow and develop, you will realize that you will make decisions like this on a regular basis. You will come to a fork in the road several times with Jesus. And each time, every single time, you will identify what holds greater value. You see, do I move? Do I stay? Do I date this guy? Do I date this person? Do I choose to move out? Do I not choose to move out? See, what decisions am I making? Are they founded in Scripture? Do they hold more value than Christ or not? The gift of a newborn baby. Just let's look at this practically. The gift of a newborn baby requires change inside of the home. You see, what used to be an office, what used to be a sewing room, what used to be a study room, what used to be a library, now becomes a nursery. You see, you receive a gift that has greater value. You used to have a gun room. Well, now you have to have a baby room. So what has more value takes over what used to have value in your life. I bought furniture. So now the new furniture has more value than everything else in my living room. So I position that furniture in an area and I move things that have less value out of the way. You get a new home. You move to a different home. You get rid of all the things that you don't need because you are moving to something that has greater value than what you used to have. So then you sacrifice all the little things that no longer carry value in the new home. We see this with everything that we do. In order to create a place for gifts, you have to make room and get rid of things. You see, what you value, you will hold closer to you, and you'll sacrifice everything else that holds less value. It's easy to make a sacrifice for something that you see has value. The gift of a home. You'll sacrifice a large dollar amount. The gift of a pregnancy. You'll sacrifice food, entertainment. A woman can still drink caffeine. She could still eat raw fish. She could still smoke if she wanted to. It's her body. Welcome to 2020. But she sacrifices those things for a greater value than herself. I know it's good because it's true. We understand the concept practically. We understand the concept practically. But when it comes into your living room, when it's in my living room and I have to sacrifice the 60-inch TV that I just bought to the church, then I have to sacrifice another 60-inch TV that I worked hard for and bought to the church again. Well, see, now I'm blessed because I get both of them back in my home. See, what you hold of value, the gift of salvation, brings you willing to get rid of the things that used to keep you in bondage. The gift of salvation now brings you to a willingness to say, see, I used to have this mouth, but I'm choosing to not. See, I used to spend my money on these objects, but now I'm not. See, I used to stay up late and watch and scroll through these images, but now because of salvation, I'm putting away those things. I'm getting rid of those things, and I'm entering into what holds more value. The gift of His Spirit brings the willingness to action. What's taking up room right now in your life? Besides the clutter physically, I'm talking about in your spiritual life, in your emotional life, what's taking up the room where the gift of salvation, the gift of joy can't be in your life? See, I was hoping that was going to make sense, that imagery. And I'm hoping that it makes sense to you right now because you are all here and you showed up this morning all carrying something. Whether if it's the excitement, whether if it's bondage, whether if it's just tiredness. I worked this whole week. I'm carrying the stress of this whole week. I got a lot of decisions. I could be spending an hour and a half to do something different instead of coming to this Christmas party Sunday morning. You see, all of you come with this mentality. You walk to the door, and what I want you to know is your presence is the greatest present you can give as you enter into the presence of the Lord. It's your positioning. It's you realigning yourself. It's saying, I can do anything else, but I'm willingly choosing to sacrifice what I value, Josiah, because I value being in the presence of the Lord. What takes up room in your life? See, I'll make room for Jesus. This is what I hear all the time. I'll make room for Jesus at the beginning of the new year. See, I'll commit reading His Word January 1. I'll commit going to church starting New Year's resolution for Guillermo. I'm going to go to church every single Sunday. Haven't we said that for the past several years of our life where we come to March and then we realize that we've stopped, and so I'll just wait till next year. You see, the thought process is I'll make room for Jesus when life slows down. I'll make time for Jesus when my schedule is not so busy. I'll spend time in His Word. I'll spend time with God's people. I'll go to, see, when life slows down, then, when life slows down, then, we'll see life slow down in March. Did you read the whole Bible? Did you binge watch a whole series? See, when life slows down, me and my wife will go on a real date. In March, were you creative like you used to be when you were young and had no money, so you couldn't go out anywhere because you had no car, but you were creative to make the date where she was? You see, I'll make room for Jesus when we just get past this season, this virtual season. I'll make room. See, when church, I will be there. What happened in April? I'll make room for Jesus when Starbucks opens. I'm just really tired, Guillermo. I just need some coffee. I'll make room. I'll make room for Jesus when we get back to church. I'll make room for Jesus when the question is, I'll make room for Jesus when? When? I'm telling you, the best gift you can bring is your presence because it comes into His presence. Don't come to church one way and leave the same way. You come to church one way and you leave a completely different way. Understand, Moses, I'm thinking about you the entire week. I said that the other way. It's no surprise that you're here because we've been thinking, we've been praying, we've been seeking the Lord. It's not a surprise to me that there's occupations coming in. It's not a surprise to me that you're finally seeing the value, that you're reprioritizing. It's not a surprise because for the past 7 months, we've been praying for the church to come alive, and now we're seeing the church come alive. You might have came this morning because you heard about the tamales that were coming out of that Nisa. I'm excited. I've been thinking about them since yesterday. No, I told Aubrey we need to make tamales. And 100. Like I'm talking about, there needs to be an overflow. I preach on an overflow. We can't just have 5. No, there needs to be an overflow. We're using an illustration of the Spirit. And so I'm going to use tamales as the overflow. I'm going to use gifts as the overflow. While that's a plus, I'm here this morning I'm in this specific home this morning, a home that could fit 60 to 70 people. I'm in this home. We looked at several other houses. We liked several other houses. I'm in this home because 5 years ago, the Lord said, save up. And $9 was put aside, and $9 was put aside, and $9, and then a value of 50 grand was put aside. And the Lord said, now give that so that you can then give again. I'm glad you're here this morning. Happy birthday to my cousin Ricky. Happy birthday to Dottie, who shared the same birthday. But I'm taking it all right now. This is the best gift you can bring, Guillermo, by you coming to church and having a moment and experience with who Christ is in your life. I want you to understand some background meaning of this text. So I know that was way rabbit trail, but I want you to understand the meaning of this text, because as I read this, I often wonder, why a pearl? Why not a ruby? Why not a crystal? Why not gold? Why not something that looks more valuable than a piece of bacterial sand that's found in an oyster? So to understand a pearl, you have to understand an oyster. An oyster. Y'all are familiar with an oyster? It's like a clam. It's like a mussel. It's good. It's good for you somehow. Ask the nutritionist how it's good. I don't really know. It's found in 2 to 26 feet of water, which means it's not hard to find. You don't got to go diving in very far deep. It is not found where Nemo and Dory are found. It is found in areas, in bodies of water that are a bit more easily accessible. Thank you. It cannot be in shifting sand. I believe that the oyster went to church and realized from Matthew chapter 7, verse 24, that it cannot be in shifting sand. Because if it goes into a sand that is shallow, it'll sink and it will die. The oyster went to Christian Ministries and applied the word, and he realized that it had to be on a solid foundation if it was going to build something of great value. I'm preaching. Are y'all ready?
Yeah.
It has to be connected to a steady flow of water. In order for it to survive, it has to be connected to a living water. See, I believe it came to church on Sunday and is set under her word and recognized John chapter 4, where Jesus is the living water. So the oyster positions itself close to a steady flow of water. That way it can have nutrition, and that way the meal can come to it rather than it fighting for the meal. I believe it read John chapter 15, where it's connected to the vine, and apart from the vine, it cannot grow. So the oyster crawls itself up. Go to YouTube this. It crawls moment by moment to get into the presence of where this body of water is, because it knows if it is not on a solid foundation, if it is not next to water that is constantly coming, then it will not receive the nourishment that it needs and the food that it needs to survive. An oyster's purpose is to filter the sea. I had to study this because I said, why a pearl? So to understand the pearl, let's look at the oyster. The oyster's purpose is the filtration system. It's the vacuum cleaner of the sea. It pumps 30 to 50 gallons of water a day. One oyster, 30 to 50 gallons of water. As it filters, it takes in what is not good and it releases what is good. They provide clean water for other species in the sea. You see, when I look at this, Guillermo, can take this as an illustration of the church. The church brings in and it filters and then it sends out good. It brings in and it filters and it sends out. The church has to be on a solid foundation connected to the vine, because it is bringing in and it is developing and it is sending out something of great value. The oyster's purpose is to get rid of contaminants. Now, through the life of most oysters, it is not its job. The purpose is to not make pearls. The purpose is to filter. And through that process, as it's filtering, every now and then, some contaminants, a parasite, will make its way through. See, some parasite creeps in. Some microorganism that we'll just call it life. Some life just creeps in and it starts to disrupt this oyster. And now this oyster's job and the purpose is to build the sea. It's to build the church, y'all. And as it's developing and as it's pumping out water, something of life comes in. Some parasite that's meant to destroy the oyster now captures it. And what the oyster does is it creates a layer over layer over layer of this parasite inside of the oyster. What was meant to bring destruction, see, I believe the oyster went to church. I believe the oyster read at Romans 8, chapter 28, that all things come together for the good of those who love him. I believe the oyster recognized that. And so as a parasite comes in, rather than releasing it, it keeps it. And it says, see, my job is to protect the sea. And so layer over layer over layer over layer over layer over layer, over a 6-month to 4-year period of time, this parasite that was meant to bring destruction to this oyster now brings great value to a young lady who wants to put pearls around her neck. You see, what was meant to destroy now creates great value. Layer upon layer. You see, I believe the oyster went to church this morning and read 2 Corinthians 4:17, that the light and momentary troubles far outweigh an eternal value that is now ours to receive. True pearls, they sell for millions. You can buy a pearl necklace for $34 million. On sale right now, you can go to Tiffany's and in a nice teal box, whatever color that Tiffany box, Tiffany blue, whatever, they have their own color. In that nice box, Moses, you can buy your mom a $42,000 pearl necklace on sale with free shipping. You don't got to worry about it. They'll ship it to you for free because of the great value. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant. Let's go back to the text. Looking for fine pearls. And when he found one of great value, he died on a cross for you. And you woke up this morning looking in the mirror, not liking your hair. You woke up this morning looking in the mirror, not liking the mirror that you're looking at because it's old-fashioned. You woke up this morning feeling like you don't have any value. You woke up this morning feeling like you lost all of your opportunities. You woke up this morning and you couldn't even get out of the bed because you got 5, 7, 9, all just jumping on you. You woke up this morning and you're frustrated with the person that you're living with. You might have woken up this morning and you came today, and what I want to tell you is you have great value. The thing about the pearl is fake pearls hold no value. Fake pearls are not cookie cutters. The way a jeweler will test to see if it is a real pearl is they will look at it and they will see, is it fully smooth and glossy? It's fake. Are there small areas of irregularity? Are they different sizes? Are they different colors? See, are they gritty? See, you're thinking a pearl is to be perfect and glossed and look spectacular. But a true pearl of great value has several different irregularities, has several different colors, has several different sizes. And though they are all different and have irregularities, it's the symbol of perfection. It's the symbol of incorruptibility. And in that symbol, the Lord looks at that symbol and says, see, you are that pearl. You might have came to church this morning thinking of yourself as someone who holds no value. I want you to recognize the value that you have. As I look at speaking on creating a place for gift, I 100% could have talked about the gifts of the Spirit. I could have talked about the gift that you can be in the church. I could have talked about the gift of baby Jesus from Luke chapter 2, where there's no room in the inn. I already had it planned with all the gifts, and there's no room for Jesus because you have so many. I could have preached all sorts of different messages. And let me tell you right now, this message to butter you up, to make you feel good, is not Guillermo's personality. I would rather tell all of us how we can do better at living our life. I'm a business person, so let's talk about what we're doing wrong so we can do what's right and check the box and move on with our life. There is no mercy. Just drop down, give me 50 push-ups, get skinny, get fit. That's Guillermo. But understand what the voice of the Lord is wanting to tell you. You are the gift to him. Your presence is the greatest gift. You being here is the greatest gift. It is a start of a gift because you are the great pearl that Jesus looked at, that he desired to die for. You are the hidden treasure that he dug, that he then put back in the dirt to buy the entire land. The greatest gift is the gift of salvation, which leads us to the gift of his Spirit. And this gift is not found everywhere. because many don't make room in their life. I want to talk about you making room for the gift of salvation and the gift of His Spirit. I preached 2 words this morning. The gift of His Spirit to be empowered to get rid of things in your life, to find greater value in self-control, to find greater value in joy, to find greater value in peace, to find greater value in the things of the Spirit over what you hold value currently right now. To come to a position where you hold more value in coming here than you do of staying up late Saturday night. To hold more value of reading His Word than you do of watching Netflix for 3.5 hours. To find more value in your presence with Him than in what gifts you can get under the tree. The gift of salvation, to recognize that you have great value in the midst of all of your life, in the midst of all of your thoughts, in the midst of all of your anger, in the midst of all of your frustration, in the midst of all of your lust, in the midst of all of your depression and the anxiety, in the midst of all the layers that are on top of your life right now, where the Lord starts to dig and to dig and to dig, and you don't like people meddling into your life, but the Lord is uncovering some things in your life. The gift of salvation. 1 Peter chapter 2 says, get rid of all evil behavior. Be done with all deceit, hypocrisy, jealousy, and all unkind speech. Like newborn babies, you must crave spiritual milk so that you will grow into the full experience of salvation. I'm not talking about the salvation of grace that Jesus paid for. That is essential. But to grow into the fullness of salvation is for you to experience a victory over your thought life, for you to experience a victory over your anger issues, for you to experience a victory over pornography, for experience, well, Guillermo, I like that you talked about 50 grand, but we can't do that. And see, to stop with the excuses, because 2021 is coming, and blame 2020. That's what you can do. 2020 was hard enough. All of your reasoning, just blame it on 2020. 2020 can hold it. But see, we're stepping into a new year. We're stepping into a new year, and we're leaving behind and grabbing hold of what is there. I want to pray over 2 groups, and then I want us to eat some tamales and break some tamale bread and masa this morning. I want to pray for 2 groups. The first group is if you haven't experienced the gift of salvation. I want to do this 2 different ways. The first way is if you haven't actually called Jesus Lord, obviously that needs to be priority. But the second one is if you've been praying for breakthrough, if you've been praying for salvation in a specific area and you haven't been able to have victory, then I want to be able to pray for you this morning. The second one is the gift of the Spirit.